Cancer sucks.
Yeah, water's wet. Cancer sucks.
So, okay, we had a great Christmas with your family, and then the Monday after that, everybody got COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I got vertigo, and you had to rescue me from the bathroom floor.
Yeah, this year did not start out good on the health front.
So that was in January, early January, that I was just on the bathroom floor, and I luckily understood I wasn't dying because I remembered my dad talking about vertigo once.
Mm-hmm.
And it, got a little better, but it was 4 days later. I was still having some problems and being really nauseous. I couldn't keep any food down.
You didn't have a fever, but there were 2 days where we just didn't allow you to stand up because you were very well.
Right. So we went to my primary, our doctor, and they did an EKG to make sure my heart was okay, and when they decided that I was fine, that it was just vertigo, they sent me to my chiropractor, because that's something she could fix. And again, I didn't have a temperature. So I didn't have any symptoms I would have recognized as anything.
To be fair, the exercises the chiropractor taught us did help.
And they did.
And they have helped since.
Which is why it's bizarre, because generally speaking, if someone has vertigo related to COVID, that means it's viral, which means that shouldn't have worked.
No.
So it must have just triggered it somehow independently, which is, I hate that. I don't know, the sound off in the comments if that's a thing. It must have been a thing. It was a thing for me.
I mean, it could have just been it happened at the same time, but it's still not great.
So I, having gone to the doctor and they're like, oh, it's just vertigo. Having gone to other doctor, because yes, my chiropractor is actually also a doctor, physical therapist.
Actual doctor, not fake.
Not a quack.
Gotta be careful with chiropractors.
Yeah.
Some chiropractors are just put this gemstone on your foot and you'll feel better, and some chiropractors are like, I went to medical school.
But she, touched my neck because chiropractor, and she went, oh, hey, you're sick. You should really get tested, actually. And it turned out, I had COVID. And I cried when we took the tests because I had gone all that time, 3 years?
Yeah. Well, we have an inside joke. It was 3 years into COVID. But we had an inside joke that bad things happened to you but not me. And when we first took the test, you were very positive immediately and I was not. And at this point, you had COVID for 3-4 days, and I had been we had not been quarantining you.
Yeah.
I was kissing you, I was sleeping next to you, we were sharing food.
Yeah. But so, I had it.
Well, that led to my hubris, because then, I basically shrugged at you the next day because I took it again and it was still negative. I was like, I guess I'm immune. And then day 5, I was sick as a dog.
Yeah, you actually had a fever.
Yep. I was, super flu sick with a very sweaty fever for, a day and a half, and then I just had a lingering cold for another week.
My sense of smell and taste went away, which was very scary to me because I didn't have a sense of smell for 15 years with a broken nose. So I was like, not again. But then I also had a cough that lasted about a month. Well into February, I had a cough to the point where I had to go back to the chiropractor because my diaphragm was all screwed up and I had to have her reset my diaphragm manually. And at that point, she touched my neck again and said, hey, you know how I've been telling you to get your thyroid checked over and over for a while? Which I had been. I had been, and thyroid always kept back.
Yeah, we always did thyroid with the blood work. I always checked for diabetes because it's in my family, and you always mentioned check the thyroid. So.
Yeah, because first of all, in my family, there's a lot of thyroid nonsense, and a lot of my symptoms could have been thyroid, but it always came back totally fine.
Yeah.
But she said this time, no, have your doctor touch your neck. Actually, put her hands on your throat because I feel something. So I go back to the doctor. And the doctor doesn't feel anything on my neck. But she sends me to an ultrasound to make me feel better because she's so sure there's nothing there. And the ultrasound, the person doing it, the technician, couldn't tell me there was anything or not. She was just like, well, I don't want to tell you in case they say something different. So I have no idea.
The doctor asked to look at it because she was just the technician.
Yeah. So I thought, oh, there must be nothing there.
Well, the entire, it was just we're an abundance of caution, because,
right.
Your chiropractor said, I feel something, we go back to the doctor, abundance of caution, and say, feel the neck, this is post-COVID, there shouldn't be anything there, and they're just well, abundance of caution, we'll do an ultrasound.
And then we get a call that says, hey, so there's a nodule. She didn't even tell me how big it was. It turned out to be 1.1 centimeters.
And the cutoff for biopsy is like 1 centimeter. Like,
Right.
if it's a centimeter, they're just like, go home, fuck you.
Right. So I get it biopsied. Now getting it biopsied, though, was a thing. Because, first of all, getting it scheduled. Oh my god. They have this one This is the reason we're changing doctors. Because they have this one receptionist who said, oh, okay, so which hospital do you want to go to? They gave a choice, and I'm just like, I don't know the difference, but whatever.
They said they sent a referral, and then like a week later we hadn't heard anything, so we called back, and they're like, you call the hospital and ask if they got the referral. I'm just like, isn't this your job?
Yeah, but that receptionist had said, oh, I sent all of your stuff to this hospital and a note to the doctor, and nothing happened. She didn't do it.
No one received anything.
I was just lied to. Straight up lied.
We have other issues about the way our primaries handled everything, but if you go and look at the reviews, a lot of them are just like they have one really rude receptionist who just flippantly, and you know when she picks up because she basically answers the phone like, what? I don't know whose niece she is, that she's not fired.
Yeah.
But like she's been up till now, she's been the worst thing about that place is that 1/3 of the time when you call in,
and it's her.
Yeah, she acts like you're hassling her, and she has better things to do.
So we finally get the appointment. It's like at least a week or two more than it should have been, and the wait is ridiculous. I've got an appointment at like 11 or something.
Yeah.
But we're there forever. We're told to be there early for paperwork. Tell the people about the paperwork.
So we were asked to be there like an hour early for paperwork. So we actually got there like 9:30 because an hour early is 10. Because they're like, you will have paperwork. And the extent of the paperwork was this. We go to the waiting room. There's a desk on the left side that we go to and check in on, and they hand us a stack of papers. And we go, do you need anything filled out? And they go, no. Sit down and they'll call you to the other desk. And then an hour and a half later, the desk on the right calls our folder number, and we hand them the folder. Mm-hmm. That was the extent of the paperwork. And was waiting for a very special episode to be over so that we could hand the desk 20 feet away from the original desk the folder. And
I need to point out that the way they called us, it wasn't like take a number. They gave us like, you know at Red Lobster, where they have the little like circles, little discs that will light up and make a noise when it's your turn? Yeah, it was
your table's ready thing.
Yeah, so we were just at the worst Red Lobster. But yeah, so eventually we got in. And they said, okay, so the biopsy is only going to take like 15 minutes.
You're skipping ahead like 2 hours because we handed that folder in and then we waited until the afternoon.
That's true. That is true. It took forever. And I started being very aware of the other people in the waiting room with us, and Rob just totally tuned out. I heard gossip. I heard all kinds of things.
I do not like people. I do not like being around people. I do not care about other people. So I was just like one headphone in on my phone, zoned out. But they had a sign that's just like, if you've been here for an hour after your appointment, let the desk know.
We did.
So at noon, it was just like, our appointment was an hour ago, and the sign says to let you know, and they're just like, yeah, go sit down, we'll call you. I'm like, cool. Mm-hmm. That was
yeah, that was it.
And it's just like, the sign says to tell you, what the fuck do you want from me?
And the person who collected me seemed very saddened for me, when I clearly was distraught because you were not allowed to come with me.
That was like 2 p.m. Mm-hmm. Again, we got there at 10, appointment at 11.
And she said it's a 15-minute procedure. Reassured you, 15 minutes.
You were then waiting for an hour before you saw anyone else in that room.
And by the time the doctor comes in... Oh, and I had to sign a thing that said that I don't have a... NDA. And they already had me laying down. This room was not designed for a biopsy of the thyroid. So they wrapped up a towel, like rolled it up, and shoved it underneath my rib. Not my ribs, it was higher than that. It was like...
Right. Considering that's where they sent us for the procedure, the way you described it to me was a very slapdash, just like...
It was.
It was just like a room where they took your blood pressure, and they're just like, we'll do it here, fuck it.
Yeah, and it was like a closet. It was this very small room, and they rolled up the towel and put it underneath my shoulder blades to kind of force me at this weird angle. And at that point, they handed me the piece of paper to sign while I'm already in this position. I'm like, what am I supposed... Okay.
How badly do you fuck up biopsy?
And yeah, I said that. And she was like, well, no, this is like, for the elderly, if they have a heart attack or something, This is just so we can bring them back. We're like, okay, well, fine. So it takes an hour for any doctor to show up, and then 2 doctors show up. And apparently it was between me and somebody in a worse condition. So they did rock, paper, scissors, and the winner got to do my biopsy. And I'm making friends with everybody. They have a special guy there to make sure the doctor got enough of a sample. They needed 5 samples. And that guy, I learned all about his son, who's got lots and lots of allergies and severe asthma, but he still does all these sports. He's great at swimming. It's a miracle. Like, good for him. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
The nurse looked at my scan and looked at me and looked at the doctor. Was like, I've had a nodule on my thyroid about that size for a long time. Should I have it biopsied? And the doctor said, probably not. In retrospect,
I hope that nurse knows your results so she knows to go get a biopsy.
Yeah, because that... So, fine. That biopsy sucked. It was really painful. The lidocaine, it's like Novocaine, but not similar. He kept saying, this is going to be like a bee sting for 5 to 10 seconds. Cool. But he did it 5 different times, and each time took about 10 seconds, which means that was about a minute of bee sting in my neck. It sucked. And I still kind of felt, obviously not as bad as it would have been, but still kind of felt him rooting around in there, kind of shaking the needle, trying to get the sample. 5 times. And then the bruise lasted...
like 3 weeks.
So long. So long. And he said, well, we'll get the sample, figured out, and we'll send all the information to your primary, and you'll hear back about it within the week. Okay. We're not hearing back. That's not great. Eventually, we start calling after the week is over, just be like, hey, just to make sure, since you didn't get the files sent to begin with, I just want to make sure you're getting the files. That's really all. And I keep getting told, oh, you're going to get a call tomorrow. You're going to get a call tonight. You're going to get a call, whatever. And no one ever, no one ever calls us back.
You're getting a call tomorrow, and no one calls us back.
No. So that was frustrating. And at that point, I'm like, I need a different primary. Eventually, though, they do get back to us. At that point, I'm actually having them call you because I've waited too long and I'm starting to get hysterical waiting for phone calls. I'm like obsessed with the phone. I don't go anywhere. The phone has become Satan.
You're turning your phone volume up and you're just getting, it's just scam calls and you're screaming at them.
Yeah. Yeah. Police asking for money, I respond very poorly to and then wonder if they're going to find me and kill me. So I've become very paranoid and weird. So you're the one who actually gets the call.
Yes, I did get the call about your biopsy. You said, if it's good news, you can tell me right away. If it's bad news, come home.
Right.
So I got the call, and I was at work, and I'm writing down notes. And first of all, they're using very medical language, so they're just well, we did find a carcinoma, and I'm just on my phone, what is our carcinoma? Because pretty sure, but I don't want to be wrong.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it's cancer.
cancer.
Just say cancer.
Just say cancer.
Just say cancer. We found cancerous cells. It's a carcinoma. If I was a dumbass, I'd be like, oh, okay, click.
Yeah.
They find anything? It's just a carcinoma. We just lived our lives because,
yeah.
someone died because of that.
Absolutely.
So here was the funny part about that, because I remember my boss probably remembers this too, because I go up to her and I'm probably done all trembly because now I have to go home and tell my wife she has cancer. But also, the house is empty of groceries, and we already had planned that I was pick up groceries on the way home.
So you have to do that first.
I can't go straight home. I have to leave work early, but then stop at a grocery store and stock the pantry because I'm not going to go home, tell my wife she has cancer, and then go back out to the grocery store.
No.
So, but it's 2 in the afternoon, I pull in the driveway, I start bringing the groceries out, and you don't even let me, get out the car, and you're on the porch, why are you home? I know why you're home. It's terrible, isn't it? I'm dying. I have cancer. I'm just can I put the groceries down? And you're no, tell me now.
I sat on the porch.
You sat on the porch crying before I even told you.
Because I knew what that was. There was nothing else it could be.
Yeah. But we sat on the couch and we talked about it because we knew I knew what some of the next steps were, and we had to organize it with the doctor. And
Right. And she, to her credit, this doctor, who's bad at communication, did refer me to the best surgeon in the area. People come in from out of town to see this guy. He's good at what he does. He's also just a really nice person. So, there is that. I at least had the good that. And, but I confused everybody because I was supposed to call and schedule with him, the people at the hospital were like, well, who's your endocrinologist? And I was like, well, I don't have one. They just sent me to the surgeon. So we tried calling the doctor back to be like, hey, why? Why don't I have an endocrinologist? If I'm getting half my thyroid removed, shouldn't I be talking to somebody?
We had a bunch of questions, and we called them incessantly, and we were not getting calls back. We were just told, oh, she'll call you later. And also, I do want to point out, like, we in that office, there's a doctor who is our doctor. Yes. She does not talk to us about your cancer ever. She has not called us. She has not written email to us. This is part of why we're moving practices, because we hear from the attending and the nurses. Right. We do not talk to the doctor.
Yeah, not
I think
for
if
years.
There's one time your fucking doctor should call you, it's when you have a cancer diagnosis.
Yeah, I haven't heard from her in years.
File your shit, pick up the phone, talk to your patient. I'm okay if she's not involved in every single, like, annual physical, because she's a busy woman. But when one of your patients has cancer, that call should come from your doctor.
And keep in mind, okay, so we haven't talked to the actual doctor in years and years. This medical professional who I've just been calling doctor, even though I don't think she's, I don't know what she is, but whatever she is. The last time I spoke to her was before the diagnosis. Keep that in mind for the rest of this story. So, we do finally get through to somebody, because we basically just say, well, we're going to stay on the phone until you hand the phone to who we want to talk to. And so this other doctor in the practice, who I've never spoken to before, ever, I don't know his name, he takes the phone, asks why we're harassing the person on the other end, which is not what was happening, and basically berates us and says, well, you need to be more patient. It's like, dude, you're seeing my file, you know that I have cancer. And he's like, yeah, I understand you have cancer, but like you have to be patient. These things take time.
We called the past 4 days. At this point, it's like a Tuesday, and we've been calling since the last Thursday, and it's always like, this person will call you back. This person will call you back.
And no one ever did.
And the only reason the doctor got on the phone is because this time they're just flippantly, oh, she'll call you back. I'm like, no, I'll stay on the line till she's available.
Right. And he got real pissy about it.
Yeah, the other doctor got real, and I was trying to be like, hey, I'm not trying to come off aggressive to your staff, but like we have questions about this very serious medical stuff. It's just like, you just have to be patient. I'm like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. And the answer was,
you need to call people back. You need to talk to your patients, especially after you give them this diagnosis. You need to make sure you're communicating with those patients.
And the answer was that this was standard for them. And it can be standard. That it's only 1/2 of my thyroid, so they're just sending me to the surgeon to get rid of a piece of my thyroid, and this should be a one and done, and it's fine. The problem is, when we got to the surgeon, again, good guy, he got me right in, there was no waiting. He mentioned that there was a nodule on the other side as well. Really, really small, might be really hard to biopsy. He said, you can just go ahead and, better safe than whatever, and just, get the whole thing removed. A lot of people would. I said, well, there isn't any cancer in my family, according to my family, which turns out is a lie, but, I thought it at the time. So can we try to biopsy that other side? And if the answer is yes, also cancer, then obviously the whole thing goes, and if not, then just the half. He says that's fine. And when I go to have that part biopsied, it's like nothing. It's one shot of lidocaine. I don't feel a thing. It's really quick. He's pretty sure he made it perfectly. The bruising lasts a couple days. It's not at all as hard. The difference...
The difference was night and day.
Oh my god.
And also, we weren't there for 7 hours.
At all. It got me right in. Yeah. And it came back non-diagnostic. Because it was too small. There was just no way to really do it. So the agreement was, okay, so I just get 1/2 removed still, and then we're just going to monitor the other half, and yada, yada, yada. Fine. Still haven't heard back from my actual, medical professional primary. At this point, they've washed their hands of me, as far as I can tell. I am now the surgeon's problem. Fine. This is already, 20 minutes now, so you know what? I'm going to come back and let you know how it goes later. Rock on.